So what exactly is an optic bucktail? Well, if you've read much of Mike Valla, either his Tying and Fishing, Bucktails and Other Harrowings, or this one, his classic streamer fly box, you'll know that they're really just streamers with painted on eyes. The style was created by Charlie Fox back in the 1940s. Now, Fox was an editor for Pennsylvania Angler magazine, and he also did publish a book in 1963 called This Wonderful World of Trout. Now, one interesting note about Fox, he was a major proponent for catch and release way back in the 1940s, so at least a decade before Trout Unlimited got on the CNR bandwagon. So today's fly, I read about it in J. Edson Leonard's Flies from 1950, and in this book, he just calls them optic bucktails. But he does note that you can pretty much make any streamer or bucktail an optic just by making a bigger thread head and painting eyes on it. And the example I'm tying today, I did get it from Valla's classic streamer fly box, and he does call it Fox's Black Optic Bucktail. Now, I've never tied or fished this exact pattern, but it is a great looking streamer. But then again, I am partial to small, sleek streamers, probably because most of my fishing is done in small tailwaters, and 80% of the time I'm fishing with a 3-weight or smaller. But you can still catch some pretty nice fish with a streamer like this. So there's one in the vise, a Fox's Optic Bucktail. Now those eyes are a little bit wonky. We'll see if we can't do better on this one. Now I'm going to tie this on a size 10. Let's go ahead and pinch this barb here. Try to, yeah, we got it. It's a 6X long limerick bend. And I'm going to use some black thread. I'm going to stick with my 70 denier. I would probably be smarter to use a 140, but we'll make do with this 70. I'm going to back it off just a little bit, and we're going to catch in a Mylar tinsel. Now, if the pattern doesn't say what size to use, and a lot of them don't, what I'll do, I'll just hold it up there, and this is a size 14. If you're going to say, what do I need, a 14 or a 12? I think this is about the right size, and I want the gold showing, so I'm going to catch it in with the gold side toward the hook. Now I'll take my thread all the way up here, and I'm going to catch in the body. And the body on this is yellow wool. And I've got a yellow wool yarn. And that was a 4-strand, but I'm only going to use one of the strands. So I've split it up right here, and I'm going to catch it in up front. Again, I like these streamers or types of streamers like this to be pretty sparse and pretty thin and sleek. But I do want a little bit of underbody. And what this does for you by catching it up front helps you minimize having a lump in the back, and also helps you build just a little bit of an underbody there. So let's go ahead and wrap this up and pretty tight and close together. And it's going to be a little fuzzy, but that's okay, we kind of want it. That's why we're using wool. Now before I wrap this tinsel, I'm going to do like Mike Valla did and just put a few turns at the back to get a little bit of a tag. Now just space them however you think looks right for the size of fly you're tying. Now I think that looks fine right there. Next thing I want to catch in is just a fairly small tuft of black bucktail. Okay, I put that in the stacker. Let's see how well it comes out. I think that's going to be fine. And I want to catch it in about back there to the bend, maybe just a little past it right there. And I could do the trick where I put a wrap just around the bucktail, but I'm not going to do that with this one. I just spun my thread to cord it up a little bit, and now take several wraps. Got to go a little bit far back because we're going to do a pretty big head. But here's what you can do. So right there, that's coming off the top of the fly pretty good, but a minute from now, after I've done a lot more up front, it might have a tendency to just spread around on you. So what you can do here is just lift all of these, hairs coming off the back and put a wrap right up under them, but don't go around your hook yet. Come back over the top of them, and again, not under the hook, but we're going to put this wrap right up under them again. So now what we've effectively done, we've got a thread wrap just around that bucktail. And it's flared up a little bit, but we can take care of that with just a few medium wraps right here. Now go forward and some tighter wraps. Now that bucktail is going to stay on the top. It's not going to spin around on us. And just trim this as close as you can get it here. And I'm going to cheat a little bit and go ahead and get a start on my head before I catch in the jungle cock eyes. And I want to use about the smallest ones I can find on this cape, which on this size 10, it still looks pretty big. So let's just catch these in here. I really only want the yellow showing, so try not to get them too long. Okay, that's fine. Now let's do the same thing on this side. Okay, now I'm going to just take my thread wraps up front before I snip the excess off. And now just spin some thread wraps cleaning up this head. And this is where having a 140 denier thread would have been beneficial. Because we do kind of want a big head if we're going to paint eyes on it. So let's go ahead and whip finish it right here. Now I'll show you how I do my head cement. I use UV resin. I've gone to this in the last couple of years and I haven't gone back to a traditional head cement since I've been using this. It's just so much easier and quicker. And if you have that little applicator bottle, it's got this little, metal applicator here that helps you spread it around. Now after you've got that on and dried, just go ahead and give it 10 or 15 seconds here. And you probably want to let this dry a little bit longer, so I'm going to take this out and then put the one I tied just a minute ago in here and show you how I paint the eyes on. So this is the one I did right before this one, so this one's had a good bit to dry. And what I use for the eyes, just some yellow Testors model paint here. And you'll want to find something you can use that's about the diameter of the eye you want. This is a Q-tip that I cut off, and it gives me about the right size. But to test it, you might want to just grab a piece of paper and then touch it to it and see, is that going to be the right size eye? Maybe a little bit bigger than I want, so maybe just touch it a little bit less to it. Okay, that one might be better. So just take your time here because it's easy to mess these up. Okay, that's it on that side. Do the same thing over here. Now you will want to let that dry a little while and then just take a black fine point Sharpie to put a pupil in the middle of it. But that's it, really a pretty simple tie. Just take your time on the paint job and you'll be fine. And maybe after you've put the pupils on and let them dry, you could just put another coat of UV resin to really harden it up. So I appreciate you watching, everybody. Y'all take care and we'll see you next time.